Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde. Thank you very much. Buenas tardes, buonasera. Don't know, Ken, in how many languages you want me to go tonight? The good thing I see, I'm not the only champagne you're going to have tonight, so that's already a good thing to celebrate our friend Nancy. Listen, before I get even into the wonderful speech that they prepared, you know me, I'll go a bit off mark. If you want the original version, we'll email it to you for free. But I can assure you that there's a lot for us to talk about tonight. But the first thing I want to say is thank you. Thank you to all the firefighters. Many have come from the Americas. We had our friends from the United States, Mexico, Chile, and Costa Rica. And thank you for thanking them, because I think it's the proper way to start. Ken, you were talking with Scott as to what we can do in the hemisphere. Well, one thing we can do is to be there for each other. And I think that the fact that our friends from the United States, Mexico, Chile, and Costa Rica have heard our call and have been there and sending firefighters is a great sign of our friendship. Alors, bonsoir tout le monde. Évidemment, c'est un grand plaisir d'être avec vous ce soir. Merci au Conseil canadien pour les Amériques de m'avoir invité. C'est un grand honneur d'être avec vous, évidemment un grand plaisir, surtout pour parler d'avenir et d'ambition, et vraiment de célébrer notre amie Nancy Southern. Marta, I want to say thank you to you. You said nice things about me, but if you saw, I could go on and on about you, so, you know, you've been an amazing partner, and I just want to say to the whole team who have been organizing tonight, but also have been fostering relationship, why don't we give them a big round of applause, all of them, because they really deserve that, because Ken and the team, I want to say, there's a lot going on in the world, and for you to be able to gather such a distinguished crowd, I must say tonight, is amazing. And next time, please send me the draft speech of Scott Bryson. We'll help him with his speech. First and foremost, I want to pay tribute to my friend. I think I can say my friend Nancy. By the way, Nancy and I are going to be on stage tomorrow again, but I cleared that with her husband, so he's fine with that. 2 nights in a row. Tomorrow evening is Edmonton, if I recall. Yeah, we're going to be in Edmonton tonight. Tomorrow, we're in Toronto tonight, Edmonton. But I just want to say, I think I can say my friend Nancy Southern. Yes, okay, now it's good. We've cleared that. I want to say to my friend Nancy, because I think Scott did a perfect job, but I just want to say for all in the room today, you're a true leader. But more than that, you have been an inspiring business leader to many, many women, and I've heard that. But also you've been a trailblazer when it comes to First Nation and the role of women in business. And even someone mentioned when we were in the cocktail that you've been on the list, I think, for 18 years as the top women CEO in the country, or part of that list. Nancy, I just want to say, I cannot think of anyone more deserving, and I choose the word purposely, deserving, of this Lifetime Business Achievement Award. You make our country proud. You make all of us proud. So with that, Nancy, I think it's only... We really need more of Nancy Southern, so thank you for inspiring so many people to lead, and your leadership has been inspiring to many, but also I think I saw the time you took to speak to different women who were here tonight, and I just could see the person that you are, and it's great to be here. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I think they've asked me to talk to you about the future, and I would even say our future. I think it was Juan Manuel Santos, the former president of Colombia, who said once, if you go around South America, you will find that 80% of the time you're discussing the past and only 20% about the future. So tonight, in the spirit of President Santos' plea for a better balance between the past and the future, allow me to focus on our future. Most people who are looking at geopolitics today, and I assume it's most of you in the room, and if you look at economic affairs, you will find that there are 3 things which are top of mind of leaders around the world. And that is true whether you're going in Santiago, whether you're going in Mexico City, whether you're going in Washington, whether you're going Tokyo, Seoul, you name it. There's three things top of mind to all head of states, head of governments, and I would say business leaders. The first one is food security, energy security, and supply chain resiliency. And I'll make the case for you tonight that I think Canada stands out in a world where these challenges are top of mind to all leaders. And if you want to say, is that true? I was with the CEO, I shall remain nameless, of one of the largest IT company in the world. I won't tell you the city because now you're going to figure out who I'm talking about. But he said, Minister, you know how much time we spend on our board meeting about geopolitics these days? 40% of our time. Because he said the wrong decision on geopolitics can cost billions. And therefore, obviously, we need to pay a lot of attention with what's going on. And I think that it's true and fair to say that we live in a world and an era of great challenges. There's war in Europe, raging as we speak tonight. And if you look at geopolitical tensions in many parts of the world, whether you're looking at Asia or even in the Middle East, we're living in the world of high inflation. Just ask our friends in Germany, for example, or even in the UK, and population having to face high inflation. And we obviously live in a world of a climate crisis. If anyone needed a reminder, just look at the image that we saw this week of whether you're talking about Edmonton, Calgary, Ottawa, which I think last week was ranked one of the most polluted city in the world. And if you look at the image of New York, Washington, and Chicago, you realize that even our southern friends realize that there's a forest on the north. And that, by the way, we are in this together. And this togetherness is probably the sense of purpose, of mission that we should all have together. But the world is also going, I will put it to you, transformational change. I would put it to you that all rules of globalization are shifting. And Nancy and I will talk about after a number of things, but my perspective, I think you see these global supply chains which are going from global to regional. You're seeing as well massive global investment reshuffle happening. Just look at the production of vaccines. Look at the production of semiconductors. The words of President Biden when he was in the House of Commons, mentioning that for the US to be relying on semiconductor, they need to work with Canada. Because actually we have the largest packaging and testing facility in North America, happens to be on north of the border. And I would say the third thing that people are facing is that businesses are seeking safer and more predictable market. I think we live in a world where people are looking more for or favoring resiliency over pure efficiency. And I would even add stability, predictability, and the rule of law is in high demand and short supply. And I think, you know, we can all relate to example of moments where we cherish these values. That is true to our close friends and allies in Europe and Asia, obviously. And you know, the Prime Minister, I was with him in our recent trip in Asia. But these massive shifts are also having a profound effect here in the Americas. And in time like this, I would put it to you that you want Canada. You want Canada as a friend. You want Canada as a partner. You want Canada as an ally. So we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared to adapt. But most importantly, I would put it to you, is that we have to be prepared to seize the generational opportunities that are before us, because they are truly unprecedented. So a world of great challenges, but also a world of great opportunities that we need to seize, because they come once in a generation. And I would put it to you that we are that generation who's seeing these opportunities in front of us. Opportunity in the green economy. Just look what's been happening in Canada recently. Just look about the battery ecosystem. We started very far and we're second now in the world, according to Bloomberg, for the battery ecosystem we've built in our country. We see opportunities in making our supply chain more resilient. When you think about the Americas and the opportunities that we have, and Nancy and many of your businesses have seen that. You talk about critical minerals, which I will touch upon in a minute. But just think about the fact that we can increase our resiliency if we work more together, and opportunities in working more closely together with strong strategic, like-minded partners. And that, I would say, is probably our best avenue for long-term stability and, I would say, prosperity. Just last month, I was in Washington, D.C. for the first ever, imagine that, the first ever North American Semiconductor Conference. With the U.S. and our friends from Mexico, we are looking at ways how we can strengthen and secure the supply chain for semiconductors in North America. And I know we have our friends of IBM there, somewhere in the room, which I saw. Yes, you know, the MOU we signed and the president saying that, that's a good example. That was a catalyst. And someone told me in Washington, it's the first time that I hear Canada and semiconductor in the same phrase. Well, I said, that's about time, because we have the largest factory on this side of the border. But this is the type of things that we need to do more. That's just one example of continental allies working together to secure critical elements, I would say, of geostrategic value. And we need to do more of that, much, much more. And I think, Nancy, you've been a precursor in trying to see opportunities when we're looking at the Americas. And I can tell you, Martha, you didn't say that, but I happen to have been foreign minister as well at some stage. And I can say to all the ambassadors here, many are serving, those who have served before, people from our civil service. I just want to say thank you. And obviously the ambassador of all the countries in the region. Thank you for serving, for those who have served Canada, and thank you to all of the others who have brought and served here in Ottawa. Because you will recall that at the time I was one of those, you remember at some stage I was fighting for us to get a seat on the UN Security Council. And I was looking at other nations and other blocs. By the way, it's not in the speech, so don't tweet that immediately, I may get in trouble. When we were fighting to make sure that Canada would be there, there was also a moment where I was looking all these blocs voting together. And I remember being in a car very late at night and said, why are we not more structured in the Americas to make sure that our voices are heard collectively? We think of each other individually. What about us collectively? And the power that we would have if we were to align more in terms of our interests, in terms of what we can bring to the world. Just let me give you another example. Obviously, critical minerals is something we're going to be talking about because that's one big opportunity. By next year, the total mineral demand for clean energy technology will likely triple, if not quadruple. And we all know that there can be no energy transition without critical minerals. And if you think about the opportunity, as speaker before me, I think, Ken, you were saying that, think about that opportunity. Where do you find the critical minerals to power the world, the economy of the 21st century? You find them in the Americas. You need the critical minerals for the batteries. You're going to need the critical minerals for the semiconductor. You're going to need the critical minerals, obviously, to prosper in the 21st century. But just look at, considering that Latin America and the Caribbean account for. We just did like a small study just to look at the numbers. Over half of the world lithium is in the Americas. Almost 40% of the world copper is in the Americas. And a quarter of the world's nickel is in the Americas. Now, it's easy to understand as the economist, and I think we have some friend from the economists in the room, Ken, recently put it, the green transition could be continent changing. And I certainly believe that, because if we were to do more and certainly aligning ourselves and presenting ourselves to the world as one when it comes to powering the needs of the economy of the 21st century, I think we can win big. I don't think I need to remind anyone in this room tonight that Latin America is a large, diverse, and multifaceted region. And despite all the good that's going on, there are some neighborhoods in the region which have tough quarters. In some places, you've seen it, democracy remains under strain and certainly under threat. In others, we've seen the rule of law becoming less predictable as property rights give way to the whims of nationalistic tendencies. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here to advise. I'm not here to lecture. I'm not here to tell anyone or any country on what they should do or not. But I will say this, for those of us who share similar values, we have a generational opportunity to do more together. And let me be very clear, whether you're in mining, and I know there's a lot of mining folks in the room tonight because I've met many of you. Now let me see if the folks of banking are in the room. Okay. I see the banker are more discreet, huh? And there are some folks with pension fund. Okay, well, now you see that. Imagine today, if you're doing business in the Americas, you would probably agree with me that Canada should be your partner of choice. And certainly we should build on that. So looking to the future, we need to ask ourselves a few questions that I think we can work together. And Ken is going to do a lot of work with the team to try to answer some of these questions as we go forward. How do we do better to integrate the continent? That's a question that we've been asking ourselves, I would say, for quite some time. How do we seize the opportunities of the green economy of the 21st century? How do we make our supply chain more resilient? How do we ensure that democracies are strong and sustainable in the hemisphere? Because we know that democracy means security, it means prosperity, and it also means possibilities. And just think about all the young people in all the countries of the Americas which are hoping for us to do more together to provide them possibilities and opportunities. These are all the areas where I think Canada can and must play a key role now and certainly in the future. Why? I would say because never have been so convinced that the Americas need to approach both the challenges and the opportunities together. Indeed, I certainly believe that Canada can be a force of positive influence to help the America reach their full potential. Just look at a few numbers that will make our ambassadors smile, because many of them in our civil service have been part of doing that for Canada. 8 of the 15 trade agreements are with countries in the hemisphere. Think about that. 8 of the 15 free trade agreements of Canada are with partners in the region. Bilateral trade with the region now totals more than $85 billion. Just think about that, $85 billion, and how can you plot that for the future, thinking that we have what the world needs for the 21st century. Latin America and the Caribbean is home to more than 20% of total Canadian overseas investment, which represent almost half of all Canadian mining assets in the world. Talk about influence, talk about opportunities, talk about us having a positive influence in the region. This really allows Canada to position itself as a key player and a partner across the region. A key partner economically, a key partner politically, and I would say a key strategic partner for the future. So in conclusion, because believe it or not, this was supposed to be short, let me come back to President Santos' words and the future. The future belongs to the Americas if we so choose. The future then belongs to us if we so choose. The future belongs definitely to those who are looking forward with confidence and vision rather than regret the past. So ladies and gentlemen, let's seize the moment, let's be ambitious, and let's make the Americas a leader in the economy of the 21st century. Merci, mesdames et messieurs. Merci d'avoir été là ce soir. Bonne soirée à tous.